Welcome to the Dr. Leaf Show. We don't even know what to eat anymore. What has happened to our food system that we actually need to have a nutritional expert or an expert telling us what to eat? You know, food is such a natural biological need, yet there's so much confusing nutritional advice coming out hourly, daily. Today eat this, tomorrow eat that, there's this diet, that diet, and every diet seems to be the answer, and if you don't follow that diet, then you're going to die. If you don't follow this diet, something will happen to you, and everyone seems to have the solution, but all the solutions are different. And that's what comes when we fiddle with real food. You see, real food is the real deal. Real food is good for you. Real food is local, sustainable, organic, natural. You don't have to fiddle with it. But when man takes real food and they turn it into food-like products, suddenly we have a need for supplements. So suddenly now we're needing to have supplements added to our diet, because then you'll see foods with things like fortified with vitamin D, added vitamin C or whatever, because what they've done is stripped the real food, turned it into nothing, and then they've added all these things back to try and convince us that it's good for us. But our body can't recognize that that's not good for us. And then what about GMO? What about genetically modified organisms? We don't even really understand these. There's no consensus globally whether these are healthy for our body, let alone the environment. And we're standing in this field of corn. As far as you can see from eye to eye, there's just corn fields and cotton fields and wheat fields. This is called monoculture, where there's been diversity reduced down to just single crops. And then from those single crops, all these food-like products are made. This is not a good situation. We need to relearn how to eat. We need to relearn how to cook. We need to relearn how to think about thinking about food. With me in the studio today are some very special friends. Welcome, Dr. Irene. It's so lovely having you here with me again.
I'm so honored.
And so lovely having you, Dr. Lillian. I'm so happy you could come back as well. There's so much more to share.
Yes, it's been a lot of fun. We're learning a lot too.
Oh, good. So am I. And you, Dr. Avery, it's wonderful having you with me again.
And thank you. Good to be here.
It's really good. Okay, so we have got so many yummy snacks in front of us, and I know before the camera was rolling, we were just having we filled our plates because they were so good and had a little taste. I mean, just look at the colors of the diversity that God has given us. Just look at the colors of these things, and everything on this table is clean, real food that is made the way God designed it. So no man interference, no chemicals, no herbicides, no pesticides, no GMO. No bad stuff, and this is just medicine for our bodies. Yeah. And the knowledge about this is really what we need to be learning and changing our diets. And you made a comment that you thought you were eating clean.
Absolutely. We made a conscious effort, my husband and I, to really change our diets and to eat right. I see now we have some more options and a lot more to learn about eating healthy and cleaning it up even more. So this has been a wonderful opportunity to just experience these flavors, bursting with flavors, and to see what real tomatoes taste like.
Isn't it amazing? And the cherries, I mean, aren't these cherries just, I mean, look at the color of those cherries.
Delicious.
They are delicious. They really, really are. It's just amazing. Yeah. And Avery, I see you've been enjoying the mango and the goji berries and the mulberries.
It's lovely. It's lovely. You know, the diversity here you mentioned in terms of color.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, we talk about biomimicry and the importance of that in terms of farming and how these plants are raised, if you will.
Yes.
Versus a monoculture, which is bad in the mad side, and that's a really important piece. And I think it's really important to have that variability.
Yes, absolutely. The diversity, and if we look at an ecosystem, it's completely diverse. You know, God has created that with a reason in mind. You know, that's where biomimicry, which you mentioned the word, which is looking at the intelligence of nature and then modeling and learning from that and creating everything from, you know, enhancing food production to engineering products to, in your field, in surgery. I know you're doing something that is based on biomimicry in your field.
Right, that's right. So there's, in terms of inventions, there are inventions that I have that will enhance what we do. And so that the whole point is that you can't keep doing it the same way and think that you're going to have a change.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, that's the definition of basically insanity, right?
That's what Einstein said. Doing something over and over and over and helping it to change, but it's not going to happen. No.
And so likewise, it's so important here with crops and how they're planted and how they're cultivated. You can't have a crop that is just a unilateral, or it's just a one kind. It's monoculture. It's got it. You need the variability.
Absolutely.
The way God planned it.
People ask me all the time, where do I shop? Well, this is the kind of shopping that's real shopping. So here I have my box. I'm here with Patrick at Bonton Farms. This is a happy farm where it's organic, everything is grown like it should be grown. And I've got a few things in my basket already, Patrick. So I've got some zucchini and some peppers and some squash
and you have some bonton eggs
from
also.
the happy chickens out the back, and we're going to be getting some peaches, and you were going to get me a few more things over here. Harvest my box.
I would like to grab you some more of these shishito grilling peppers. These are some of our favorite peppers, right?
Fantastic, sure.
It's like you can saute these right here or grill them with onions, a little olive oil, or sea salt, and grill them a little bit for like a few seconds, and they would enhance the flavor like everything that you cook prepare with.
Okay, so that
Or
goes
you
in.
can chop them up in your salad directly. They are mild, and some of the ones that's red are sweet.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So instead of picking it off the shelf or in the supermarket, I'm actually getting it straight from the plant. This is the way God intended. So you can grow this in your back garden. You can find farms like this. You can come here and you can shop. This is, oh, thank you, Patrick. That's amazing. So I'm harvesting my box. This is how I'm doing my shopping for my groceries.
You know, when we think about what we're eating and all of the antioxidants that are here, and all of the nutrients, the vitamin C, the potassium that's in all the foods that we're eating, in the fruit and the vegetables, where's the need for supplements?
Exactly.
Yeah, so if we can eat what God has made and the way God has eat it, the way God has intended for us to eat it, I think we'll minimize the need for any type of supplement outside of just, you know, the things that are medically prescribed. In your case, Irene, you're an endocrinologist, but our diets can really help us.
Well, absolutely. And I know I just for fun had a look at a supplement company and looked in terms of my age and my lifestyle, and the advice that I was given was literally to take 65 types of different supplements 3 times a day, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, really, who does that? It's insane. You know, and the supplement industry is deregulated. In 1994 it was deregulated, which means there's no control. You don't even know what you are getting in the supplement.
Right.
So unless you are reading medical journals every day or every week, how do you know what you are supplementing with? Whereas we know God did everything right.
Yes.
So we know if we're eating food that's grown in the way that God designed it, agroecologically correct, and you know, doing it with real food way, then we're going to get the supplements. And I know this is really something close to your heart, Dr. Irene.
Yes, because I, as you said, as an endocrinologist, I ask actually my patients to come for the first visit or follow-up visit with everything they have in their cabinet, supplement-wise. And you are surprised to see bags and even like carry-ons of supplements. Think about the cost, but they all think they are natural. Yes, like I had patients coming with a carry-on.
And have they just self-medicated?
Yes,
or,
and they just go to the health food store and they just buy pills. And I tell them they're not natural.
Yeah.
They're manufactured. They don't grow in trees. You don't need all of those.
Right.
But it's also some misconception. I have patients that they do need more calcium because of different disorders, different gastrointestinal issues, even, you know, bariatric surgeries.
Yes, we were talking
so
about
they
that
do
one.
lose, they do not absorb, or other gastrointestinal conditions, and you need to give them maybe more calcium. But we have a lot of data showing that patients taking calcium just because it's good for you end
So
up
more is not
having
necessarily better.
increased cardiovascular mortality.
That's right.
And also vitamin D. So there are few things that in certain circumstances under doctor's prescriptions, we do check vitamin D level. We do check urinary calcium level to know exactly how much they need.
Yes.
But the calcium is good in the blood because we have the parathyroid hormone that keeps it normal for the heart function. That's not a good reflection if your calcium is good or not. So you need to know what you're taking. So don't just go to the health food store and take this and that and just say it's good for me.
If we don't have that issue, we're eating real food.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
that's
all
what happens
balanced.
a lot of times, Caroline. The patients will come and says, what vitamins should I take? What supplements should I take? And to just prescribe a healthy diet they feel like you failed them.
That's
But
what
actually,
Christians
we
had, a
actually
healthy
should pull
diet
out.
and-
Yeah, that's the way we should.
But
we
then
should
there
think of it.
needs to be a mind shift for them to process that, and that's something
That's right.
we
Yeah.
need to explore. But I know
And then
you
the
want to share
supplements,
something.
Because you briefly touched on the deregularization,
Yes.
and that's a really important point in 1994, because the standard of regulation of supplements and drugs has changed from that
Yes.
act.
Wow.
And so now the standard for supplements is less than the standard for drugs, and it's and
That's
so as a
shocking.
result, you're not getting the quality
Right.
that you need, and you don't have the appropriate metrics
Yes.
to really screen these supplements. And that can be a problem, and we've seen
It
in
is a
just recent time mortality from certain supplements.
Absolutely. Well, vitamin C is one of those. You know,
Yes.
we think flu, we think vitamin C. You know, let's
Yes,
grab.
just-
And instead of having this beautiful orange that has been created by
Yes.
God to have everything in context,
Yes.
we take the supplement vitamin C, which is reduced, so out of context, and it's a reductionistic approach to basically food, because supplements are actually one of the most processed type things that you could actually put in your body. So in this, you've got all the fiber, you've got all the macronutrients, you've got all the phytonutrients, you've got everything you need. So as you're eating this, you will get the vitamin C that you need,
Yes.
plus all the other things that you need to give you health. But people think, okay, well, I've got a cold coming on, or they read something about vitamin C being anti-carcinogenic, which it is in its real
Yes,
context,
its real
whole
form.
food form. Then they go and get vitamin C, they self-medicate, and studies show that excess amounts, as I'm sure you know, excessive amounts of vitamin C can actually
Increase
be
risk.
carcinogenic.
Yeah.
So you take something that's good, you decontextualize it, you make it a food-like product, which is a supplement, and so now you have something that was working for you, working
against.
against
Right.
you. So it's not the food that's wrong, it's what man is
Has
doing
done
to the
to
food.
Yeah.
And
Which
looking
is
at
so
those
shocking.
studies is so important. We just talked about that there are studies, and
Yep.
there's research, and there's data, but it's important to really look at that data and don't take it for face value and just assume that because it's written in a journal that it's high quality
Exactly.
data.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
especially if the researchers are funded by a company or an industry.
Yeah, there's a bit of a
Yes.
financial
Incentive.
kickback there. So
Exactly.
buy my product. Let's get. And there's a lot about, unfortunately, publication bias and things going wrong in
Yeah.
science where science is not God. Science is it's a fallible. It's not totally objective, and
right.
humans are involved. So when someone is paid money to actually say something
Do
is
the
good or
research.
data is manipulated, that's
Right.
not acceptable, and that's
Yes.
happening in the food industry,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
supplement industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and that's something that we have to be aware of, and this is not the way to go. We
Yeah.
need to really dive in and
It's incredible how we
Yeah.
are being hijacked, actually. and,
Absolutely.
you
That's a
know,
good way
and
of putting it.
The way that when we look at it, people want to go to the grocery store. They want to believe that what they're buying is real and healthy for them, but it's unfortunate that the industries change that and compromise that.
Yep,
So,
that they compromise
Yeah.
the public health for the bottom dollar.
Absolutely.
Which is really crazy. So
Yeah.
instead of using science for the good, it's used for
the
it's
profit.
used incorrectly. It's used for profit. So short-term exploitation on human health and
Yes.
our beautiful creation that God loves, which we should be loving. And, we're supposed to be
Yeah.
reflecting His glory. We're supposed to be worshiping Him by looking after the temple,
Yes.
looking after the
Yes.
earth. So I wanted to come back to something that you started with when we started talking about biomimicry, because I know you're involved in a biomimicry type thing in your field, and you were
Right.
talking about outliers. And
Right. So
would you
in
mind
just-
finishing that
Oh, sure.
that
So
thought?
just in terms of outliers, it's important to have, to expand your body of knowledge, to expand what you're doing, and to have diversity. And
Yes.
so in research, that's very important. And
Yes.
so oftentimes we will thumb our nose at the diversity. And so in particular, there are a couple of points that I think are key. One is when we look at phases of research that go beyond what is a standard, although it's an extrapolation of that standard, there's a period of time in which there's creativity.
Yes.
And likewise, when we're planting these plants and these crops, it's important to have that creativity, as opposed to just completely removing most of the creativity for the benefit of production and volume.
Exactly, which is what they've done. So you
Yes.
lose out on, this is from our local community-supported agriculture, where that's where we get basically our fruit and vegetables from, and that's the local farms. And you get these. I mean, every week I never know what I'm going to get in my box. And
Right.
I mean, just look at this this
it's
watermelon
beautiful.
radish. Look at the colors. I mean, that is just, there's all good stuff in there. And this is this diversity. You know, we used to have 30,000 different types of wheat, and we've got just a handful of hybrid wheat. So this whole going from diversity down to monoculture is very dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
biomimicry is looking at nature and learning from the intelligence of nature that God's given us to improve things, as I said earlier on. with
And
the-
so this, in terms of the research side, so being creative is what God has given us, right?
Yes,
We all have that
absolutely.
creativity and having the mind of Christ. And so with that, it's important to have these inventions and to take our concepts to the next level. And so
Yes.
in my field, that's what we're doing.
And you've used the biomimicry concept where you've looked at how God's designed the human body and the human spine, and from there, that's where the invention has come.
Exactly.
So we apply that. It's not just in food, it's in medicine, it's everywhere. God has
Absolutely.
given us everything we need in nature, and if we just did things His way,
But see, this is what I think the real science is, to go and research how God did that. You know, the
Yes.
context, the
Yes.
organ is so you can understand how things work, so
Yes.
you can help your fellow,
exactly.
patients and humanity in general, how to eat, how to sleep, how to keep our bodies
Exactly.
healthy.
Yes.
So we don't spend lots of money on healthcare because there
Exactly.
is concern of the cost.
Why, as we as Christians dichotomize or separate the medical side and research from God? Why are they're not separate?
It's crazy
right?
because
Yeah.
God made everything, and and I always say this: science is simply a description of the everything. So we
Right.
are learning about His wonderful creation as we study science. He's revealing His glory. You know,
Yes.
He wants us to obviously enjoy food. I mean, just look at this.
Yes.
So when we designed to enjoy food.
Yeah.
So then there's the other twist of science, which is something, the biotechnology side that can sometimes be misapplied, like we've been discussing, financial gain, etc. And that's genetically modified organisms.
Yeah.
You know, it's a scary topic. It's a concerning topic. It's a worrying topic where there's no consensus globally as to whether GMO
Its
products are
benefits.
safe for
Yes.
human consumption, let alone what it's doing to the ecosystem. I mean, we don't even understand 98% of what's in the soil. And then
Right.
they're putting these seeds into the soil, and so just basically GMOs, as you know, is almost like a fancy game of cut and paste, where they're taking a gene from one organism and putting it in another organism for a purpose of changing it for specifically like things like being herbicide resistant, so they can plant these seeds and then spray them with all these chemicals. The chemicals are bad for us. Those seeds aren't sustainable because they die, so you have to buy more seeds.
Yeah.
And those seeds, we don't even know we've introduced a foreign substance into this huge ecosystem. What's it doing to the 2%? We don't even know. So what's it doing to the 98%?
Right.
So the danger
And
of
the
GMOs is
cross-pollination.
the
in the
cross-pollination.
farms
So
and how the other plants get exposed to it, just the natural way of the way pollination occurs.
so
That's
how
a real
can we
concern.
be really sure we're not eating GMO
we,
food? if
we,
it's
we
with
can't
cross-
control it.
And
But I-
GMO data as well is
Yeah, where's the
it's
data?
inconclusive.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
at the very most, there should be an opportunity for the patients, for community, to choose,
Yes.
to read a
Absolutely.
label and decide
Yes.
and make a
Exactly,
decision. It shouldn't be
exactly.
that it's mandated and that's all the choice that we have.
exactly.
You know, and taking care of pregnant moms, it's so important. What we feed our children,
Yes.
what's in our breast milk, what are we giving our children,
Yeah.
and so if we have bad choices and the GMOs are there and our proteins are compromised, the substances and the nutrients in our foods are compromised, then we're
That means the
compromising our
babies-
offsprings.
And Lillian, isn't there also research showing how even your diet before you conceived,
Yes.
in
yes.
the mother and the
Yes.
father,
Yeah, we often will make
That's-
sure before patients conceive that we have preconceptual counseling. It's that time where we encourage them, if they're habits of smoking or other habits, we encourage them to discontinue it. And then the diet is the main thing. You know,
Yes.
we do some testing about genetics and if there are concerns of some risk, but the diet is a huge part of when we tell a mom, okay, it's time, we think that it's a good time for you to get pregnant, the diet is a huge part of it. And if we're not eating well, and if we're putting the wrong things in our bodies as moms and dads, we're passing this on
well,
to
it's a generational impact. It's
Yes.
and if you think of just what it takes to make a food-like product, the whole modern American diet,
Yes.
you not only are you impacting our own offspring into the future, but we are also the land. So we have
Yeah.
to have a generational mindset in terms of what are we
Being
leaving
good
future
stewards of
generations.
the land.
Exactly.
The
You know,
land.
God
That's
loves
right.
the land, as I
Yes.
said. You know, he said everything was good.
Yes.
You know, and
Yes.
to learn from the good and to use our intelligence that He's given
Yes.
us to really think this thing through. So.
Yeah.
But I was trying to find data about this genetic modified organism to see the studies. You know, we have now an experiment for how many years? 20, 30, or
Yeah,
even
about-
more
yeah,
years,
about-
and we
mhm.
see a huge increase in diabetes, in pre-diabetes, in gestational diabetes, in all this
So there seems to be
cardiovascular cancer. So it's like the
correlations.
experiment is done on our
Yeah.
Right.
human
Yeah.
family.
Yes.
And we don't have anything that they actually try to see how this affects our organism.
Exactly, and there's research showing that there is a correlational relationship between when GMOs were literally released into the
Yes.
market with
Yes.
things like
And
increase in autism and asthma and
Allergies.
and
Autoimmune
just
diseases.
cancer and various different
Yeah.
types of, and there's definitely a time frame. It's been about a 50-year mark that we've had this industrialized where food has become a factory thing, where
Yeah.
food has turned from being
Taken away from
something
the farmers
it's taken
and
away
taken
from
to
the
the factory.
from the farmer and turned into these factory farms and and then the GMOs, and it's a whole like something that's so natural is being made, being fabricated. It's
Yeah.
a concern.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
real
big
concern.
concern.
It's a
big
concern in terms of the science not being accurate and the science not being good enough. It's really a concern. And what about the waste?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's another thing that's very concerning. So if you think of people buying all these foods that say that they're so healthy and that they're so good and they, with all these added different vitamins, so people think they're eating healthy, and then they buy and they're cheap. So and are they really cheap? That's an illusion, and we're going to definitely get
Yeah.
into that. But then they throw a lot of it away, and there's just the lifestyles that we
Yeah.
live,
Yes.
The
industry and homes combined.
Yeah.
It's like 1.3 billion tons per annum of waste, and it's industry and our households.
Wow.
And that waste is destroying the earth.
Yeah.
It's destroying, the runoff from conventional farming, for example. You've got your chemicals from conventional farming. The runoff from that is creating damage where it runs into. So, for example, in the Gulf of Mexico, there's that
Dead zone.
dead zone, and so there's things we're doing damage, and that's like literally stealing from God. The waste. If you look at just a percentage of the waste, and this is
Destroying our
interesting,
planet.
and a
it's amazing.
percentage will feed the starving. So
Yeah.
we have enough. It's a shocking situation that we have starving. Yet because of what we've done with food, and we've got all this waste,
Because of the
we
waste.
actually can feed the starving, but we still have starving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the GMO is supposed to have increased yields and solve the problem. It hasn't.
No.
If you look back at the research, you'll see that if you go back to the the good, godly agroecological methods and organic farming, you get a far greater yield.
Yes. Yes.
But it takes longer.
And you mentioned research, and again, being mindful of what's really out there. What are they really saying? What does the data really show? So we look at even stem cell research, and so most of us hear that fetal stem cell, or the researchers said that fetal stem cells were used to really make a difference in terms of health and what have you. But in fact, studies have shown that adult stem cells are more productive. And so, and all of us know about bone marrow transplants.
Yes.
Those are stem cells,
Exactly.
right? I mean, we can even go as far as what did God use what did he take from Adam to create Eve?
Exactly. So we can go back to
Rib.
It was a
The
rib.
rib.
And what's in rib?
Bone marrow.
Bone marrow.
Exactly.
And what's in bone marrow?
Yes.
Stem cells.
Cells.
So clearly,
health.
and
it's-
how a
it's
stem
for
cell
health.
becomes
You can
everything.
Yeah, that's right.
pluripotential.
Explore potential
Exactly.
to develop
It's
into anything
incredible.
we
So,
needed to do.
God's given us the diversity inside our
Yeah.
physical
Inside our
bodies,
bodies,
and we
exactly.
see that playing out in nature as well. So there's a lot of mind components coming in
Yeah.
here, isn't it? I mean, this is knowledge that we're sharing. Is the average population, are your patients aware of this kind of knowledge?
No, actually,
They
they
are.
want a pill to fix
To fix,
everything.
right.
Magic
When
pill,
you need
so-
to think, to plan
Yeah.
your meal, to
Right.
plan what you're gonna do. Oh, I don't have time. We need to get into that
Yeah.
We
maybe
need
in
to
a
get into
different.
time. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely, because that's
Yeah.
a whole different.
Just have to think differently about what real food is, and understanding that to have real food, you have to take the time to prepare it and to eat
Yes.
at home even.
And time
That's a
to
whole new
learn
concept.
what real food is, because people don't really, it's almost like, oh, well, I see my doctor doing this and that and whatever, or they're seeing people eat the norm. It's become the mad. It's become the norm.
Yeah.
It's the
Processed
United
foods.
States' most ubiquitous export. It's global. You'll find in the middle of Africa and Australia and places where there's just it's small groups of people living, and they if you look at their
Right,
health,
diet.
they were healthy. And then you introduce the modern American
Yes.
diet. Suddenly, there's all these obesity and fatty liver disease and
Diabetes.
cardiovascular issues, and you track it directly. And there, it's not even correlational; it's directly causal. Where there's the introduction of this
Wow.
modern American diet, and you're seeing the change. And in Africa, I'm sure you're aware of the
Yeah,
studies
I read in
where
your book.
yeah, babies being weaned from breast milk onto Coke.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what has society come to that we? So
Wow.
then we have kids growing up in those places
Addicted
that are
to-
actually starving, addicted to Coke, but they're
Sugars.
starving and they're obese.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're actually dying from starvation, but they're obese. I mean,
Yes.
that is
Nutrition.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
That is
whole new
a
phenomenon.
crazy situation.
Yeah.
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 So we really have to get
So
our
interesting.
minds around this concept, get away from monoculture,
Away from
and
monoculture.
back to diversity, get back to what God, get to your local CSA. I have so many tips and things in my books where I try and help people to find your local ways of buying foods and purchasing foods.
Yeah.
And you know what? We vote with our fork.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
vote with our fork. If we as as consumers, if we want the stuff, if we are buying the stuff, the people will realize that there's money to be made in healthy food. So we vote with our fork. So be very aware, get the knowledge, learn how to eat properly, find out what it's doing for your body, find out what it's doing to your body, the good and the bad stuff. And get the knowledge so that you are able to actually change your diet and introduce this way of living as a lifestyle. And it's so exciting, and your palate will love it, including your body.
Dr. Leaf's life-changing books, apps, and videos walk you through the 5-step process of renewing your mind and changing your brain. The 21-day Brain Detox app helps you eliminate toxic thinking in only 7 to 10 minutes a day. The Perfectly You app helps you recognize your unique gift that can change the world. The Think and Eat Yourself Smart app shows you how to discover and develop a healthier you. Go to drleaf.com